All right, let's jump right in. Something really interesting is starting to happen inside our virtual worlds. We're seeing a brand new kind of character pop up, and I'm not talking about the ones that just repeat the same lines over and over again. No, these can actually think, listen, and talk for themselves. You could call them the AI ghosts in the metaverse.
So let's just start with this question right here. What if the characters in a game could actually talk back to you? I mean, really hold a conversation, not from some pre-written script, but coming up with their own thoughts and responses right there on the spot.
And you know, this isn't some far-off sci-fi idea. Not at all. This is a real feature being rolled out right now by one of the biggest names in tech. We're talking about Meta's newest, and you could argue its most controversial, bet on the future of virtual reality.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. Meta is trying to fix a huge problem with its main VR platform, Horizon Worlds. And that problem is, well, it can feel a little empty. So what's their big solution? They're going to populate it with these fully realized conversational AI characters that are designed to just hang out and talk with you. And listen, these captors are a whole different beast. We're not talking about your standard, simple, scripted NPCs, the non-player characters that you see in games like Roblox or VR chat. Nope, these AI are running on Meta's own Llama large language model. That means they can have dynamic, totally unscripted conversations. Creators can even give them unique backstories and personalities. So they could be a shopkeeper or a guide for a quest who can actually make things happen in the world around you.
But, as you might guess, this move hasn't exactly been met with a round of applause from everyone. In fact, it's kicked off this massive debate among developers and users about the very soul of VR. And it really boils down to this huge fight between two ideas: quality versus scale.
So on one side of the ring, you've got this perspective. And this comment from a user named VR Developer just sums it up perfectly. The big fear here is that by flooding these platforms with AI characters, Meta is just choosing quantity over quality. That they're just filling these worlds with, as they put it, AI-generated garbage. And that could end up devaluing the entire VR ecosystem.
But then, you've got the other side of the coin, laid out right here by Christian Schildwachter. And this view basically says, hold on, this isn't a mistake at all. It's a calculated business move. The goal was never to create these super high-end, artsy experiences for hardcore VR fans. The goal is mass adoption. And AI NPCs? Well, they're a cheap, super effective way to fill up these worlds and get a massive number of people engaged.
And this table just lays out the two competing visions for VR's future perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the quality and soul camp. They believe that real success comes from creating meaningful, high-quality experiences that build a super loyal community. Then on the right, you have the scale and profit argument. This side says mass adoption is the only thing that matters. And the way to get there? Copy the playbook of games like Fortnite. The ones that print billions of dollars, even if that means quality takes a backseat. Now, it's super important to remember, this whole debate isn't happening in a bubble. Not at all. It's playing out against a backdrop of absolutely staggering financial losses and a huge strategic pivot away from the very idea that kicked this whole thing off. So yeah, we need a serious reality check on Meta's Metaverse dream.
Just look at this number. Over $70 billion. That is how much money Meta's Reality Labs division, the part of the company actually building the metaverse, has lost since the beginning of 2021. $70 billion. When you see a number like that, you start to understand the immense pressure they're under, and it explains pretty much every single strategic decision that came next.
This timeline really tells the whole story, doesn't it? Back in 2021, Facebook rebrands to Meta, basically betting the entire company on the metaverse. Then, for the next 4 years, it's just a fire hose of money pouring in. But by 2025, the conversation has totally shifted. Suddenly, Mark Zuckerberg is only talking about AI, barely even mentions the metaverse. And then, by 2026, we start hearing reports that they're planning to slash the metaverse budget. I mean, it's a complete 180.
In a way, the collapse of this grand vision has turned into this incredible masterclass for innovators everywhere. It's just a brutal lesson, right? You can't just create demand for a problem that nobody really has. The metaverse, for many, was a solution to a question very few people were actually asking. It's a stark reminder that a big vision without a real product that people want, well, it's just expensive theater. And it proves that just having the tech isn't enough. Timing and empathy, actually understanding why someone would use your product, that's what really wins in the end. Okay, but here's the twist in the story. While Meta's specific dream of one single unified metaverse seems to be fading, the core technology behind it, these AI-powered characters, is not just surviving, it's actually thriving. So let's zoom out for a second and talk about the rise of what people are calling digital humans.
So what exactly is a digital human? Well, it's way more than just a chatbot with a pretty face. Think of it like this. It's a super advanced, hyper-realistic AI interface. The whole point is to create a natural, even empathetic interaction between you and a digital system.
And how does it work? Well, the magic really happens in 3 steps. First, you've got the hyper-realistic design. That's what makes them look and feel believable. Second, there's a powerful AI brain, a generative AI core that lets them understand context and give smart answers. And third, and this is the real game changer, they can have an emotional response, actually adapting their tone of voice based on how they think you're feeling.
And this is why this whole idea is so much bigger than just Meta or video games. I mean, just look at all these applications. We're seeing digital humans pop up and change entire industries. And they're not just automating tasks, they're making technology feel more personal and easier to use. Just imagine a student getting one-on-one help from an AI tutor 24/7, or a doctor practicing a super complex surgery in a perfectly safe, realistic simulation. This isn't just about entertainment. This is fundamentally changing how we learn, how we shop, and how we get help.
So where does all this leave us? We've seen this huge, hyped-up vision of the metaverse kind of crash into a much more down-to-earth, but maybe even more powerful reality that's being driven by AI. The big question is, what happens next?
Let's put the two visions side by side. The metaverse hype, that was all about a single, giant virtual world you had to live inside, and you needed these clunky, expensive headsets to even get in. As we found out, it was kind of a solution looking for a problem. But the AI reality that's growing now, that's all about putting smart agents into the apps and platforms we already use, on the web, on our phones, and they're solving real, everyday problems in customer service, training, and sales. The whole focus has shifted from where we go online to who, or what, we're talking to.
Now, of course, this path is not all smooth sailing. There are some major challenges we have to tackle. As we build out this new reality, we have to face some really serious questions. Like, how do we make sure our private conversations with an AI actually stay private? How do we handle copyright when an AI can create a new image or text in a split second? And maybe the most important question of all, how do we make sure these amazing tools bring us closer together instead of pushing us further apart? These are the big, critical questions we have to answer.
And that brings us right back to our final and most critical question. This is the choice we're all facing, the one that really started this whole conversation. As we build these new digital worlds and start populating them with artificial intelligence, what's the end game? Is it just about grabbing as many eyeballs as possible and maximizing engagement, no matter what? Or can we use this incredible technology to design experiences that actually create genuine, meaningful human connection? That, right there, is the billion-dollar question that's going to define our digital future. Thanks for tuning in.